how progress occurs, whereas the next generation sees what the current generation is doing and decides to improve on it.
That's a great one. And Tristan, I'm looking at all this data. You said it's data from over 700 players, and if there was one player that you could maybe use to get this analogy of the increase across, and correct me now if I'm wrong, would George North be an example? Because he's a huge man, and the pace, he's so fast, but he's also relatively very heavy.
Yes, you would, but I would argue, I mean, obviously George North is a very fast guy and he's a very big guy. However, you look at the Irish model of Brian O'Driscoll 10 years ago was a very, very powerful, fast guy. I mean, he demolished many of the midfields that I coached when we played against Leinster and against Ireland. He was an example of an outlier at the time. You go back a generation before that. I can think growing up of people like Trevor England playing on the wing for Ireland, exceptionally quick guy. So there's always going to be physical outliers in rugby that enable you to look at the sport and think, okay, it's very pattern-based. However, you've got certain players with certain physical attributes that can do very, very special things. And yes, what we don't want is 15 robots playing against one another and then replaced by 8 more robots. But hopefully we're never going to get to that stage.
Tristan, over your career, you've been head of performance now for some time. You've worked in the game for over 2 decades. Outside of the speed and weight and strength, how have you seen the game of rugby change?
It's become more attritional. If you look at the top leagues, you look at Leinster, and Munster, obviously, from your part of the world there, primarily the most dominant teams in European rugby for the last 10 years. From a Welsh point of view, we've had, the Cardiff Blues, Scarlets, Ospreys been relatively successful now and again, but haven't had the dynasties of the Irish teams. And then in England and France, you've got the powerhouses. Now, sadly, and I say that with a bit of a tinge, the bigger teams physically are the ones that normally succeed because the rules of the game suit big attritional teams. That's one of the ways I believe, if you look at a game now just as a fan, there's a lot more driving line-outs. So there's a lot more of an arm wrestling rugby these days than there used to be free-flowing sevens type rugby maybe 10 years ago. Now, I personally don't think that's a good thing. And it would only take a couple of rule changes to revert that back to type, I believe.
What rule changes, if you had control of rugby union for a couple of months, you could implement all these changes? What changes would you bring about to maybe get it back to more skill-based, would we say, as opposed to physical attritional games?
Yes, potentially. I mean, the subs one is a big issue because the reason so many people are so big in rugby now is because fitness isn't a narrative that you have to stick to. So you can put 5 huge players on the bench knowing that they're going to come on when everybody else is tired and only have to play for 20 minutes. I believe if you took that out as a variable, players would have to be fitter, therefore they'd weigh less, and they would ultimately contribute a lot less as far as physicality and contact, so injury rates would go down. I think that one change in rule would fix 3 aspects that are currently blighting the game of rugby.
You mentioned that maybe English teams, or even we'll say UK-based teams, maybe to a lesser extent, are generally known as powerhouses now, and the French. Do you think, is that going to be hard for the likes of maybe Wales, but more so Ireland, to get that size, with smaller playing populations, maybe smaller budgets as well? Is that a realistic target, or should you try maybe develop your own strengths if you're looking at the international game?
Well, it's interesting you asked that. Obviously I'm Welsh with my accent and you're Irish with yours. I think Ireland have led the way in the last 10 years or so as far as identifying what your strengths are and working to your strengths. Purely from an off-field backroom staff perspective, Ireland, from your province system and from the regional system in Wales, people like Liam Hennessy, now you wouldn't have heard of Liam Hennessy, but he installed a system in Ireland to educate the coaches from a physical and from a medical point of view 15 years ago. And if you look at the Premiership now, and even if you look at South Africa won the World Cup the other day with former Munster fitness coach Aled Walters as head of performance. In Saracens, you have Phil Morrow from Northern Ireland. In Newcastle, you have Kevin McShane, you have Fergus Connolly, Gordon Brett was in Wasps and Lee, again, from Munster. You've got a legacy of very, very intellectually based practitioners from Ireland who have led the way over the last 10 years. And in having a strong backroom team, I think Irish teams have notoriously been very, very fit and very fast. And I think it's a really big reason why you've been so successful.
Tristan, I think we need you to implement a few rule changes that might benefit the Irish national team again. So I suppose, Tristan, chatting about your role as head of performance, what has that been like over the past 2 decades, and what do you think will be coming down the tracks over the next few years in terms of, I suppose, strength and conditioning, changes in games and changes in data analysis?
I mean, I started off as what was called a fitness coach with Newport Rugby Club 2 decades ago. And then what you found was you had more and more people becoming more specialised. So ultimately I had 3, then 4, then 5 people in my department. And then you had medical departments, analysis departments, strength and conditioning departments. And ultimately you needed someone then to glue those together, I suppose. Because when you're a head coach or a director of rugby and you've got a staff of maybe 25 people, you do need some kind of alignment to the game plan. So that's where the role of head of performance comes into play.
He's at the second shootout of Byron.
Okay, lads, that's Tristan Bevan, who's the former head of performance with Cardiff Blues and the Wasps. And that infographic I was on about, that's up on our Terrace Talk Twitter page. Very interesting. It compared rugby players' speed and weight over the last 20 years. Just looking at local football in the Keane Super Value Minor Football Championship, it's Fireys 1 point, Killarney Legion 1-5, that's after 17 minutes. East Kerry 1-9, Field Rangers 1-1 after 18 minutes, and St Brennan's 1-4, Mid Kerry 3 points. After 7 o'clock we will have the draws for the Kerry Petroleum Club Championships. Join us after news at 7.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry, brought to you in association with the family-run Meadowlands Hotel Tralee, the perfect location to celebrate every occasion. meadowlandshotel.com.
Would you like to reach your full potential in the Leaving Cert? Then contact the professionals in private education, Brookfield College. We've over 30 years experience and a proven track record, now enrolling students for 5th year, 6th year and repeat Leaving Cert courses. Our 6th year programme covers the whole course in 1 year, so make up for that lost time. Phone Brookfield College Tralee on 066 714 5896.
In Tuesday's Farming Independent, the financial pros and cons of joint land ownership for farming couples. In property, we look inside a €2 million beef and dairy farm on the market in Munster, and Tipperary TD and farmer Jackie Cahill on his disappointment at not being appointed Minister for Agriculture. The Farming Independent, real stories worth paying for. In print or subscribe at independent.ie.
A lot has changed in the last few months, like Tesco's network of filling stations, now called Certa, offering cheaper, faster fuel. One thing you're probably wondering about is your Tesco Club card and your points. Well, don't worry, you'll still get your points when you fill up. No club card? No problem. Simply sign up online today at tesco.ie/club card. So, that's fuel, shopping and your staycation sorted. Check out Certa for your new favourite fuel up. Tesco, every little helps.
Dominic, where does the time go? Set the challenge for next week before we finish up quickly.
I'm going to set the challenge to the listeners. I would like them to do pictures of families and friends and just do a pose, you know, whether it's a Nike pose or a star pose or anything like that. Let's liven it up. Not a silly pose, but just something unusual and having a bit of fun into the camera. I think it'd be a great way to go.
Are you ruling out selfies, I presume?
I'd like it to be of their family. Let the person taking the picture be the photographer here and let them direct and compose and get the picture there and we'll have a look at them.
Please email your Kerry during COVID pics to jmcgill@radiokerry.ie. Then join me, Joe McGill, for the Saturday supplement from 9 a.m. here on Radio Kerry.
Every euro you spend in a Kerry business has a huge effect on local employment and supporting families in our communities. These families and businesses in turn support many of our voluntary, sporting and charity organisations. So as businesses across our county reopen, let's make each euro count and help rebuild our kingdom. This is Radio Kerry, encouraging you to shop local and support local.
Your local voice in the kingdom. This is Radio Kerry. First, with the news for Kerry, broadcasting on 96 to 98 FM. This is Radio Kerry News.
7 o'clock. Good evening, I'm Owen Murphy. 57 more cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the Republic today. There have been no further deaths, which means the total figure now stands at 1,772. Of today's cases, 27 are men and 28 are women. 70% are under the age of 45. The Acting Chief Medical Officer, Ronan Glynn, has more information on the 879 cases that have arisen in the past 2 weeks.
325 or 37% were in Kildare, 163 or 19% were in Dublin, 95 or 11% were in Offaly, 71 or 8% were in Laois, 36 or 4% were in Limerick, and 34 or 4% were in Clare. The remaining 135 cases were spread across 20 other counties.
Meanwhile, the total number of cases of COVID-19 across the world will reach 20 million this week, according to the World Health Organization. It says the death toll will also pass 750,000. Johns Hopkins University estimates the world is just short of reaching both of these landmarks. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus says it's not too late to turn the pandemic around.
Behind these statistics, there is a great deal of pain and suffering. Every life lost matters. I know many of you are grieving and that this is a difficult moment for the world. But I want to be clear. There are green shoots of hope. It's never too late to turn the outbreak around.
The union representing 6,000 meat industry workers says more needs to be done on unannounced COVID-19 inspections of factories. It follows a number of outbreaks at processing plants in Kildare, Laois and Offaly, which have been linked with over 300 cases. A Fort meat factory, Carroll Cuisine, today suspended production of its facility in Tullamore in County Offaly. SIP2 held a 2-hour meeting with Meat Industry Ireland earlier, where a commitment to rapid testing of workers was agreed. The issue of inspections also came up. 33 have been carried out at meat plants between the middle of May and the end of July, according to the Health and Safety Authority. SIP2's Greg Ennis says there needs to be done more.
That issue was discussed as well, and Meat Industry Ireland will subscribe to that. They have no issue with unannounced inspections. I definitely believe there should be more unannounced inspections than there has been some, but not enough.
The man accused of murdering Detective Garda Adrian Donoghue has been found guilty of taking part in the armed robbery that led to his death. Aaron Brady from Crossmaglen in County Armagh had denied playing any role in the robbery, claiming he was engaged in illegal fuel laundering at the time. Our Courts correspondent Frank Graney.
During an armed robbery outside Lordship Credit Union in County Louth on January 25th, 2013, Detective Garda Adrian Donoghue was shot in the face from close range. He died instantly. He and his colleague had been tasked with escorting those carrying takings of several credit unions in the area to Dundalk for safe deposit. The robbers made off with €7,000 in cash and assorted cheques. Aaron Brady was today found guilty of taking part in the armed robbery. The prosecution also believes he was the one who shot Detective Donoghue. The jury has been sent home for the night, but will return tomorrow morning to resume their deliberations in relation to that capital murder charge. Frank Graney, the Central Criminal Court.
Bank of Ireland is warning customers about an increase in what is known as smishing during the pandemic. It says it will refund customers affected by the scam, which involves criminals dropping fraudulent texts into a thread to access information. Tech correspondent Jess Kelly says banks have well-established ways of contacting customers.
They should never ask you, and they will never ask you, to verify any of your account details or any of your personal information via text or via email. That sort of verification usually only happens over the phone or when you're in the app or the online platform. But just stay super vigilant, and if it looks in any way dodgy, do not click on the link. Delete it. If it's that urgent, they will find another way to get in touch with you.
That's your news at 4 minutes after 7.
Radio Kerry weather.
Mostly cloudy this evening with scattered showers. Some heavy and thundery winds will be light north-easterly in direction. Mild and humid with mist and some patches of fog overnight. Lowest temperatures of 11 to 14 degrees. And tomorrow warm and mostly cloudy on Tuesday with the possibility of some isolated showers, but becoming brighter in the afternoon. Highest temperatures 20 to 24 degrees.
You're listening to Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry. Winner of the McNamee Award for Best GAA Programme in the country.
You're welcome back to the show. Eamon Hickson here with you up until 8 o'clock this evening. If you want to get in touch, give us a text 083 300 3300, also across various social media. And we're also live on YouTube and Facebook. Check out the Radio Kerry social media channels, and also on Kerry GA we're live streaming the draws for the Kerry Petroleum Club Championships. If you want to get in touch, like I say, give us a text or give us a comment on social media. Now we have a lot of draws to get through, and before we start, we'll check in with our guests. As Peter Twist, Secretary of the Kerry County Board, Tim Murphy, Chair of the County Board, and Liam Brosnan, obviously a regular panellist here on Terrace Talk. Lads, you're very welcome to the show.
Hi, Eamon. Thanks, Eamon.
I suppose, Peter, look, we'll start. You had a busy job over the past couple of weeks. Before we get to the draws, I know you were here a while back. We were looking at different games in the county championship. Now it's the club championship, the Kerry Petroleum Club Championships. Past few weeks have been a busy one for you.
Yeah, we had over 80 games in 3 weeks, which was phenomenal and fantastic for all the clubs, and it was great as well for the players, I think, out in the sunshine playing in the summertime. And I suppose especially I'd like to pay tribute to the referees who did a super job. That was a huge concern we had with, getting officials and everything, and they were brilliant, and fair play to them, and I'd like to take this opportunity maybe of paying tribute to them for a great job.
And yeah, it wasn't that easy, with all the restrictions, and it's very hard, first of all, for referees to be leaving their families, going to games, and maybe worrying about their own health. But every week, was it 28 games I think you had?
It was 28 games, and it was nice to see some new referees as well. I was at a couple of games where actually I saw new referees, and they were absolutely fine, and it was great to see it. So that's a plus, and again, thanks to them for a fantastic effort.
Yeah, and I know it's quite tough for referees, because a couple of players, myself included, we really extend that water break. We don't stick to our 60 seconds or blowing whistles at us and everything.
Yeah.
I suppose, look, Tim Murphy, Chair of the County Board, it's an ongoing situation with numbers changing, but first and foremost, the past few weeks it's been quite positive.
Yeah, I think very successful, you'd have to say, overall, Eamon. I think we had some fantastic games in all the different competitions. And Peter mentioned the referees already. I'd like to mention the clubs in particular, because I thought they were exceptional again in how they managed their facilities, and everything from controlling numbers through the e-ticketing system that we brought in, all the way down to hand sanitising, and having their facilities in a first class condition. And I think everything went really well, and we can only be proud of them.
Yeah, and look, while it is disappointing, you were just chatting with Travis Murphy and Kerry today during the week about no change in the numbers. Look, still at 200. It was disappointing news for you.
Totally. I thought the GA made it very, we were all working collectively as counties, along with Croke Park, to lobby government, which we did, and we certainly felt we made a fairly rational proposal in terms of increasing the numbers at ordinary club grounds but only by 100, and at the bigger grounds to 500. But unfortunately, the NEFET obviously decided against that. Again, we'll obviously be said by what the health professionals say, but we were disappointed. There's no point in saying otherwise. I think it would have relieved an awful lot of pressure, particularly in club secretaries. An extra 50 tickets per club would have made a huge difference.
Yeah. And I know, look, there were 28 games every weekend, and maybe for the most part, most club members got to see a game, but it kind of maybe took the big attendances out of a couple of very big clashes in the club championship.
Absolutely. I suppose we tried to negate the effect of that through streaming, which has gone reasonably well, I have to say, and it was our first dipping the toe on the water, I suppose, in many ways, in a lot of the games, and that's gone well. So there's nothing like being there, like the GA slogan says, but unfortunately that wasn't to be this year. So streaming, I suppose, alleviated some of the pressure in that regard.
Yeah, and that was a very positive thing maybe which came out of the restrictions, that Kerry GA, you had to stream games, and there has been a huge reaction to it.
I think so. That's one thing COVID-19 has certainly propelled forward is technology, I think, hugely, and streaming is something that we're experimenting with over the last number of weeks and have done, and we're actually getting good feedback, like you say, and it's something I think that will become the norm for the future.
Outside of football, I know a lot of businesses over the past few months, because of lockdown and restrictions, a lot of businesses are struggling, but Kerry Petroleum, they're still there, they're still supporting you, and I know they're of great benefit to this championship.
Huge, Eamon. And again, we can't say it enough, all our competitions, in this case, the club championships, supported by local business, employing local people within the county, and we're awfully grateful to Kerry Petroleum for their continued support through what is a very difficult time for everyone. But they never flinched, they were never found wanting, and they stuck with us right through this whole ordeal over the past number of months. And thankfully, look, I think the teams and the clubs have repaid them in kind with the games that have gone on, please God, and will go on over the next number of weeks and months as well.
Peter Twist, if I come back to you on something on the games, maybe COVID-19 has sped things up in one regard, but the availability of match programmes online, whether it be the night before or the morning of the game, is that something that you think you'll stick with? Because, having physical programmes at games, it doesn't look too likely in the near future.
Oh, absolutely, and I think it has been very well received. In fact, I was sitting next to Neil Legend come in the Milltown Glimba game there yesterday, and he was commenting how brilliant it was, and that was coming from someone who may not be used to that kind of thing at all, and it's fantastic. It's awesome. Maybe far cleaner. You don't have to be picking up programs thrown after or anything, and it's so flexible. So thanks to Leona, our PRO, who kind of drove that herself in MS. So I think so, and I think the way things move on. Another aspect of the games that I've noticed as well is the field is now free for the players to play, which is fantastic, and the less people on the sideline, I think it adds to things, and I think maybe that's a lesson as well.
Yeah, indeed. And we mentioned Kerry Petroleum, but another business which has come on board with Kerry J is Greenway Hygiene, and everyone knows Liam Brosnan, regular panellist here with us. I suppose, Liam, we're looking at it from the business point of view. You've come on as, the official sanitiser of Kerry J.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, it's like every business during these times, we kind of evolved a small bit, and it was something that we're doing with the last maybe 10 or 15 years, sanitising anyway, so it wasn't anything new to us as a business coming from drains and dealing with sewers and stuff like that. So, when this hit, it was a kind of a decision that was made by Owen O'Shea, Mary BT, and my business partner as well in Irish Drains, and we said, there's a bit of a business in this, and when it gathered momentum as time went on, and I suppose it's a kind of a product that's wanted at the moment, and we do think that it's going to be something that's going to be around for a long time, where hopefully when this virus disappears, that we'll be in good habits of sanitising and going around to games. And I think the boys kind of said it there, there's great credit due to clubs, and we've been dealing with a lot of clubs. I think 90% of the clubs have come to us, and the facilities have been well decked out. There's been sanitisers everywhere. There's a lot of work in the background that have been done to make football to go ahead, and I think that's what we wanted. Everyone wanted football to go ahead, and with no hassle, and we were delighted. When I sat down with Tom Keane to partnership up with Kerry GA, we were delighted because, like Tim said there, we're a local company, we're employing local people, and it's a local product, and we have got fantastic support from everyone in Kerry at the moment, and even outside of Kerry, and even with schools now in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and we're going out, we're meeting them, because people don't know what to do. Everyone's kind of scratching their head, what do they need, what they don't know what to give, and we're going out giving a bit of advice and stuff like that. But hopefully with our partnership now with the Kerry GA, the Kerry GA is a global brand. I've said it before. We're absolutely thrilled to be involved. We're looking after, hopefully, when the gates open properly in the likes of Fitzgerald Stadium and Austin Park, that when people go in, that it'll be our products that'll be inside. Keeping the place safe. Corns looking after the players and stuff like that. So we're excited. Even though it's hard times at the moment, we're looking down the line, maybe in the next year or two, that when things get back to normal, we can all sit back and we can enjoy this, and we can look back and say, did we honestly go through that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And a couple of months back, if that was mentioned about sanitising coming to games, you'd say, what sport are you on about? Where are you on about? It's
exactly, yeah. So, but I think it's going to be good habits, even for sport and even schools and stuff like that. Everything is going to be much cleaner in the next couple of years, and people would have good habits. And not only that, I see even our company, and we've been dealing with a lot of local companies as well. The Mobility Genie. We're working with partnerships. Eamon Ferris Science, Slogus, signs. Everyone's kind of pulling together, and I think that's the way we can get out of this, is together. There's going to be no solo runs if people can come together, and I think the main thing here is to support local. If people can support local, keep jobs in Kerry, and when hopefully in 12 months' time when we look back, we'll have our heads above water.
And before we get to the draws, I suppose, Tim Murphy, look, we were chatting off air before we come on. Okay, there is disappointment with the attendances allowed at games, but we got to look at Kildare, Laois and Offaly, and things could be a lot worse. Football could be stopped, so we have to be grateful for what we have.
I think so, Eamon. Look, I think in fairness, within the county of Kerry as a whole, I think people have been exceptional over the last number of weeks and months, and there's huge crowds and huge numbers of tourists in the county over the last weeks and currently, and will be for the rest of this month. And I think in the main, everyone has been fantastic, everyone has been compliant, and everyone has adhered to best practice when it comes to dealing with COVID-19. So I think we should be thankful for our mercies, absolutely. We could be in a lot worse position, and all going well, the competitions will continue, and the virus, as we know it, will remain suppressed to an acceptable level within the county. So we're hopeful that, yes.
Yeah, super, Tim. So look, we'll go for a quick break, and after the short break, we will have the Kerry Petroleum Junior Club Championship quarter-final draw.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry, brought to you in association with the family-run Meadowlands Hotel Tralee, the perfect location to celebrate every occasion. meadowlandshotel.com.
Brian James Menswear, Maine Street, Killarney. Summer sale continues with everything half price, including top brands like Gant, Tommy Hilfiger, Bugatti, Superdry, Calvin Klein and many more. Summer sale now on at Brian James Menswear, Killarney.
These days you are what you eat. So if you want to be healthy, fresh and tasty, try O'Sullivan's Bread. Our naturally low in fat bread is available in white, whole grain or multi-seed with wheat-free, spelt and low GI options. Not forgetting our delicious award-winning bracks. O'Sullivan's Bread. From our family to yours.
From food to home to fashion, Dunnes Stores brings you great quality and great value all in one store. And now when you spend €10 or more in-store on homewares or clothing, we'll give you a fabulous €5 off €25 voucher to spend on groceries. So if you're stocking up on socks, buying holiday at home basics or refreshing your home with candles, throws and cushions, spend €10 or more and get a €5 off €25 grocery voucher to spend on your food shop. Only at Dunnes Stores. Always better value. T's and C's apply. Minimum spend required.
Every Monday on Kerry Today, we talk to industry experts and business people from around the county about rebuilding Kerry together. Brought to you in association with your credit union, local like you. Next Monday at 10 a.m. on Kerry Today, we'll be taking a look at hair, beauty and fitness services. How have they been coping since reopening, and what measures have their sectors had to take to reassure customers about safety? That's Rebuilding Kerry on Radio Kerry with your credit union. Stay local, borrow local, spend local.
Award-winning radio. This is Terrace Talk, winner of the McNamee Award for Best GAA Programme.
A couple of latest scores from the Keene Super Value Minor Football Championship. Legion 1-8, Fireys 4 points, East Kerry 1-12, Field Rangers 1-4. St Brendan's 1-10, Mid Kerry 7 points, that's half time, and it's South Kerry 1-4, West Kerry 3 points, half time in that game also. Now let's get down to it. We'll start with the Kerry Petroleum Junior Club Championship draw. And Peter Twiss, can you tell us the whole layout of this draw?
Okay, so we have 8 teams, and I'll call out the teams there. We have Renard and Duarte from Group 1, Bale and Cordal or Scart in Group 2. So Cordal or Scart have to play off there was a tie. In Group 3 we have Onascal and Knocknagoshel, and in Group 4 we have Tarbert and Castle Gregory, and the only condition to this draw is that the teams from the same group cannot meet.
And how will that work out? For example, I'll just say Onascal would say we're drawn first and Knocknagoshel were next. Where
so we'd put Knocknagoshel back and we'd draw again, and the team drawn the second would be the second place team then.
Yes.
So we've a plan anyway.
Lovely job. So we have Tim Murphy, Chair of the County Board, and Liam Brosnan, Terrace Talk panellists to do the draw. And if you are online, you can watch this. We're live streaming on YouTube, on our Facebook and YouTube pages, and also Kerry J are streaming this as well. So are we good to go, lads?
Good to go. Will I draw away? So first,
Liam, draw first.
Okay, first team up. Oh, wait a minute. Onascal.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So that's Onascal, who came out of Group 3. They will play
Knocknagoshel, so that doesn't
They have to go back in.
doesn't work, so I go back in.
Yeah, well, once this year is enough. So Knocknagoshel go back in. Tim Murphy drawing again for Onascall.
We draw Duo.
Duo, who came out of Group 1. Onascall played Duo in the group stage last year. So
Okay, we'll draw again. Cordal or Scartaglen?
Gordon and Scartaglen, who have to play off out of Group 2.
We'll play Bale.
Just draw again, so Tim.
Go back again.
Tim will do a mighty job.
Teams want to stay together, I see. So it's Cordal or Scartaglen. Tim Murphy is drawing again because they were in the same group. So Cordal or Scartaglen.
I'll play Castle Gregory.
Castle Gregory, who are in Group 4. So 2 of the 4 quarter-final draws made already. Okay, Liam.
Stephen Wallace will be working on that one.
Yeah.
So we have Knocknagoshel.
Who came out of Group 3. They will play
Bale.
So that was Knocknagoshel versus Bale. 2 teams left.
Good. So we have Renard,
who were out of Group 1 down the south. They'll have a good drive, I'd say.
Play Tarbert.
That's it. So that's Renard versus Tarbert. Peter Twist, you might give us a rundown of all those.
So it's Onascall versus Dua, Cordal or Scartaglen versus Castle Gregory, Knocknagoshel versus Bale, and Renard versus Tarbert.
In relation to Cordal and Scartaglen, they'll be playing off?
They'll be playing off. Amazingly, they finished tied on score difference, so it went to scores for. So Bale had more scores than the other 2, who finished with the same number, believe it or not. So they'll play off, but we'll obviously give St. Kieran's now an opportunity to prepare for the county championship, and then after St. Kieran's exit, whenever, then we'll play the Cordal Scart game.
So it all depends really on divisional sides' involvement in the senior county championship. So in terms of fixtures, what do you know at the moment?
Yes, so the key thing here is that we'll give the county championship now its full reign. So there'll be no game until the players involved are out of that competition, and then they can revert back to the club championship. So it's a fluid enough situation. Really, it depends on the progress in the senior championship.
And do you think that all quarter-final draws, so we'll say Cordal and Scartaglen have played first, do you think all quarter-final draws will be over the same weekend, or is it possible that I'll just look the first fixture on Onascall versus Dual might be on one weekend, the following weekend Knocknagoshel and Bale, or what? It's still fluid.
It's very fluid, and certainly there will be different games over different weekends in the various championships. So, and we'll also be very conscious of the district board championships, because we're trying to marry all 3 in together. So it'll be, but it's fine. It'll be fine, but it'll be a very, very flexible situation.
And there are neutral venues for all those.
Neutral venues and result in the day, so it'll be winner take all.
So practice the penalties. I know we had a good discussion about that. Tim Murphy, what stands out for you there?
I think they're all interesting, to be honest about them, and I think it's the North Kerry clash between Knocknagoshel and Bale, I think, is an interesting one for me. I'd be familiar with both of them. Similarly, Cordal Scart versus Castle Gregory, and I think yourselves and Duo has to be a tough encounter as well, I think. So I think all in all they're very competitive. They've been very competitive up to now. So we're at a quarter-final stage now, which is news, I suppose, and it's the first time we're able to do that in this year. So it's great to have two teams qualifying and giving players an opportunity to play at the best time of the year as well during the summer.
Indeed. Liam Brosnan, what stands out for you?
Yeah, 4 very competitive games there, Eamon. I suppose the Cordal Scart and Castle Gregory one probably stands out in Cordal and Scart. I know fairly well, and I saw Scart playing last week as well. I think even the game for Cordal and Scart, you would put 2,000 or 3,000 people into that if we could open the gates. But no, they're going to be very interesting games. Renard, Tarbert, they're like the teams, and you know yourself, Eamon, you're playing in it. There's there isn't much between teams at this level, and it's all on the day and who shows up. Even not Nagashel Bale, not Kerry Derby there again. You know, it's going to be a bruiser and going to be a tough one. So they're hard ones to call there now.
Yeah, and I know that teams' divisional sides' involvement in the senior county championship could affect how things go. You know, if a divisional side exits early and the other side stay in, you know, it might affect club preparation.
Yeah, because you'll have a team that'll be probably training that might get an extra 2-3 weeks training together compared to other teams. You know, so look, it's going to be interesting there now when you look at it. Not Nagashel Bale, I think that's the one that's going to be an eye-watener one. Renard, we said it there. They've a couple of inter-county players. So, but I would say we'd have to put on the Scald favourites, I suppose, to win this competition.
We'll have to turn off the mics. And, interesting enough, no two teams are in the same divisional side. You know, so which is it really might give to some extra preparation to one side on that.
Exactly, and plus with no county league matches, I suppose, you know, it kind of makes it a bit more harder to call because you've no form really coming into, because there's going to be a break now for a few weeks. So whatever teams can prepare the best will probably get an upper hand.
That's lovely. So we might move on to the next draw at Peter Twist. What have we got up next?
Okay, maybe this is not a happier one. This is for the relegation from the Junior Premier. Okay, and it's basically the 4 teams that finished the bottom of their respective groups. And I have put the names into the cup there, boys. And the teams are Ballyduff, St. Michael's Filemore, Fireys and Listowel Emmets. So it's just an open, straightforward draw, and the 2 losers will meet then, and the loser is relegated. So it's the other side of the coin, I suppose.
So that's the Junior Premier relegation playoff. Ballyduff, St. Michael's Filemore, Fireys and Listowel Emmets. So Liam Brosnan will
So first up is Fireys.
I think it's the second year in a row in the relegation playoff for Fireys. They will play.
Fireys will play Listowel Emmets.
So Fireys against Listowel Emmets in the first relegation playoff.
That should be a formality. Be St. Mary's Filemore.
St. Michael's
Filemore, sorry.
St. Michael's Filemore against last year's junior champions.
It's Ballyduff.
So Peter Twist, pretty straightforward there for the relegation playoff in the Junior Premier.
Yes, and again, it just shows how competitive the whole thing is. Like when you see the likes of Fireys and Listowel Emmets down there, you know, these are good teams. St. Michael's Filemore were a former senior club not long ago, and Ballyduff, always a very talented team. So it just shows how competitive, you know, it is.
And just for people's information in relation to the Novice Championship, what's the plan at the moment?
So the Novice Championship is, so we always leave the 4 bottom place teams in the junior through, and then the likes of Clownmackin, and there's 1 or 2 clubs that might have finished maybe in second place or second from the bottom in the junior, and we let them in as well. So we should have that confirmed by next week. The objective there is to give games to the clubs. The Novice is really about that.
Yeah, and so do clubs have a few days to get in contact if they try warrant inclusion?
Yes, and we'd always accommodate the club, you know, to be fair. So that's only right, and we'd only be delighted to. So we just to confirm that they're okay and they can field.
Yeah, and in this Junior Premier Club relegation playoff, again, fixtures are a bit fluid?
Absolutely, they're all the same boat, they're fluid, and it's just unfortunate, but somebody has to go down. That's the nature of the competition as well. So and it's pretty competitive there as well as to who would be.
Yeah, there are 4 very strong teams there in the Junior Premier. We will go for a quick break, but if you want to get in touch, give us a text 083 300 3300. Also on various social media. We're also live on YouTube, and that's streaming on Radio Kerry's social media channels and Kerry GA. Who did your team draw on that, or who are you waiting for? Give us a text on that. Lots more after the short break.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry. Brought to you in association with the family-run Meadowlands Hotel Tralee. The perfect location to celebrate every occasion. meadowlandshotel.com.
This year, Woody's Heroes are going to walk, run and cycle the distance to the moon for 4 important charities. Your small steps will be one giant leap for ISPCC Childline, Down Syndrome Ireland, Cystic Fibrosis Ireland and Autism Assistance Dogs Ireland. Get involved in store or online at woodies.ie and be a Woody's Hero today.
The thrill of greyhound racing is back, and we're really making a meal of it. While we're racing behind closed doors, we've sectioned off our restaurant from the track so you can be there, safely shielded in comfort, fully social distanced, as per COVID-19 protocols. Packages must be pre-booked to enjoy great racing from the comfort of your table. See www.kingdomgreyhoundstadium.ie to book and for your full guide.
It's time to look forward with TUI to that first dip in the pool, to carefree days and new adventures, and to smiling from the second you land. As part of our holiday promise, we're including COVID cover on all 2020 holidays, plus free amends if you book before the end of September, so you can book with complete peace of mind. Welcome back to looking forward. Welcome back to TUI. Discover your smile. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you suffer from foot, ankle, knee, hip or back pain? Are pains and aches preventing you or your child from participating in exercise or sports? Then why not ask the podiatrist? Anne-Marie Horgan will be joining me this Thursday on Talk About to discuss all your foot and ankle queries and to give advice on how to keep you and your family's feet healthy. Brought to you in association with the Tralee Killarney Podiatry Clinics, your local foot and ankle experts.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry. McNamee Award winner for Ireland's best GAA programme.
You're welcome back to the show. We're going through the Kerry Petroleum Club championship draws. We have the junior and the junior premier relegation all sorted, and if you missed those, they're on our social media channels. Now, Peter Twist, what's up next?
Okay, so we're stepping up now to the junior premier, and here we have again the same 8 teams and 2 from each group. So we have Guinea Gill and Fossa, who came out of Group 1, Ballymac and Brosna, who emerged from Group 2, Finneug and Listry from Group 3, and from Group 4 with Skellig and Ballydonoghue. And again, the same rules apply, that the teams from the same group can't meet in the quarterfinals.
Super. So we have Tim Murphy and Liam Brosnan to do the draw. I think Liam is going to go first.
But our first team out of the hat, Ballymac.
Ballymac, who came out of Group 2 with Brosna. They will play
Guinea Gill.
A very strong up-and-coming team. Guinea Gill, a lot of good young players. That's Ballymac versus Guinea Gill.
Okay. Next team out, Finneug in Group 3.
That was a tough Group 3. They will play
Ballydonoghue.
So that's 2 of the 4 fixtures down there in the junior premier.
Next up, Team Brosna.
Tim Murphy will be wondering, who are they going to get? Brosna will play
Listry
under Mark O'Shea. I came out of that Group 3, a strong Group 3 with Finneug and Liam Brosnan.
And our last 2 teams, we have Fossa.
They will play
Skellig Rangers.
Peter Twist, you might run through those for us.
Okay, so Ballymac will play Guinea Gill, Finneug will play Ballydonoghue, Brosna will play Listry, and Fossa will play Skellig Rangers.
Again, not too many any local derbies and that. Tim Murphy, what do you think of those? What one stands out for you?
Yeah, I think Ballymac and Guinea Gill probably would be 2 of the top teams, or would certainly be perceived as such, certainly at the start of the year. So that's a big clash of the Titans, as they say. I think Finneug and Ballydonoghue again in the North Kerry clash would be interesting. My own club again, obviously playing Listry. I think my own club have done reasonably well so far this year, I have to say, and beaten yesterday by Ballymackelligate, but have done quite well under Dave Curtin this year. And again, Fossa and Skellig Rangers. Again, I think the fact that we're at this stage of the competition now, and it's really evened everything up. So I think they're all fairly mouth-watering encounters as well. And I think 'tis anybody's competition really.
Liam Brosnan, what do you think?
Yeah, I suppose Ballymac Gillig will probably be the one that would stand out. Mostly Gillig with a young up-and-coming team. Ballymac, much the same, going well with the last year or 2. I suppose the next one might be the same as Tim being involved with Brosna last year, and Listroy, Mark O'Shea going well with Listroy.
Yeah.
But I see Brosna, Dave has the boys ticking over well in there, and there's a few fellas home as well since last year, so the Brosna are strong with Paul Welshton up front as well. Fussett, Gaelic Rangers, a tough enough one to call. Finuig, Ballydonohoe. Like there's four tight ones there now again, and it'll all, like I said, it'll all depend on the county championship, I think, for a lot of this, because what teams can get that little bit more preparation in before the games. But there's no gimmies there now in any of them 4 games.
Not at all. And same as the junior, there's no one team stands out in their matchups. You know, the teams seem to have found each other quite balanced as well.
Yeah. Like I suppose, like I said, the one there, the Ballymac, like Tim said, there had probably been the 2 top teams in that, and the 2 meeting now. So it'll probably give the other 6 teams maybe that little bit glimmer of hope as well when you have the 2 big teams meeting in a quarter final. So I think all teams will fancy their chances.
Indeed. Peter Twist, in terms of dates and venues and fixtures, like the junior, is it very fluid?
Very fluid, yeah, and of course it's neutral venues, so and that'll save the journeys in some cases there, you know. So it's very fluid, very depending on. Now, remember with the senior championship, the first round and the second round are one after the other. So after 2 weeks, you'll be down to only 4 teams in the senior county championship, which means a lot of the county is freed up for the club championship in reality. So you know,
just looking at the teams there, Tim Murphy, while Peter Twist gets the next draw ready, it's great to see so many intra-county players playing club action the past few weeks.
Absolutely. In fairness, I think it's been fantastic, really. I think, and the fact that they've had exclusive access to their clubs, I think, has been commented to me by a number of clubs. In fairness, you know, what the norm is going to be for next year and moving forward, I don't know. There's quite a lot of talk with the GPA, with the GA. Quite a lot of speculation, I would say, at the moment as to how that's going to manifest itself for 2021. But certainly, I think there's a lot of merit in what's gone on, and there's a lot of merit in considering what the future will hold. And I'm sure, look, collectively, all the stakeholders involved in the process will come together and you know, devise something for next year.
Yeah, the GPA, and I suppose, have they been given a little bit of taste of what could be, and along with the Club Players Association?
Yeah, I think you have the Club Players Association, Eamon, on the one hand, and you have the GPA, obviously, who are representative of the inter-county players. There certainly would be an appetite, I know, on the GPA's part for a closed season for inter-county players. So while this COVID-19 was quite unwelcome, it's obviously provided this window of opportunity to try out what's happened. So it'll be interesting to see over the next number of weeks and months. But I think it's fair to say that it certainly will be a lot different makeup of a club and county competition next year, I think.
And that's definitely something to discuss over the next while. Peter Twist, what draw have we up next?
Okay, so now we're into the relegation from intermediate. Okay, so the team that drops down here will come from either St Mary's, Curra, Artfort and Waterville. So they're the 4 teams that finish bottom of their respective groups.
Lovely. So that's the intermediate relegation playoff, and we have Tim Murphy and Liam Brosnan again to do the draw.
Yep.
So Liam Brosnan is drawing first in the intermediate relegation playoff.
Artfort.
They will play.
We'll play St Mary's.
Artfort versus St Mary's.
Next up, my own club, Curra.
Should be one team left.
Yeah, Curra will play Waterville.
So Peter Twist, a quick roundup of that.
Yeah, so Artfort versus St Mary's and Curra versus Waterville. So again, some big names there. Artfort were All-Ireland champions, St Mary's All-Ireland champions, and Curra and Waterville would be traditionally a big, strong team. So again, it just shows you how competitive.
Yeah, that's 4 big sides in that relegation draw, I suppose, to drop out of the intermediate. And I suppose, Tim Murphy, one downside to the intermediate and junior and senior club championships this year is it doesn't go on to Munster, doesn't go on to the All-Ireland series.
Yeah, that is the only downside, I think. But having said that, I don't think the level of competition has been ferocious at all levels. So I think every team that's participating, Eamon, has gone out to win. It is just again one of these things that are forced upon us because of COVID and. But having said all that, I do think the competitions have been exceptionally good. The quality has been exceptionally high, and that is the only downside, I think, to the overall thing. Is still winning a county championship or a county club within Kerry at whatever grade is a huge honour.
Yeah, and Liam, 2 of those 4 teams have a lot of success in recent years at not just county but at Munster and All-Ireland level.
They have, yeah. Artford and St. Mary's is probably the tie there that people will be looking at.
Yeah.
My own club team, Curra, there going through a rough patch. Got a tough group because when you look at Spa and the Gale, we're inside it like they'd be 2 kind of high up in the favourites list to win the intermediate. But look, it's like every club. It comes in peaks and troughs. And Curra had their day in the sun, won an intermediate a few years ago. So it's time for rebuilding. It's like any club. You sit back and you have to assess what's around you and get the young fellas to back it up and go at it again. But look, that tie against Waterville will be an interesting one as well. Anything between the 4 of them teams now, I think you could. There's a right task kind between them.
Indeed. So we've 1 draw left, and if you're just tuning in, you can check online, check YouTube and Facebook, not just Radio Kerry but Kerry GA as well. There's a live stream, and we have the final cup. Peter Twiss, you might run through our final draw of the evening.
Okay, so these are the big boys, and this is a fantastic competition here, and 8 great clubs left in it. So it's the intermediate, and from Group 1 we had Gaeltacht and Beaufort emerged. Group 2 we had Spa and Nagale. From Group 3 we had Long Rangers and Castle Island Desmonds, and from Group 4 we had Glenbeigh, Glencar and Drummond Pierce.
Super. So Tim Murphy and Liam Brosnan, you might draw up the teams. Liam will start.
First team out, Long Rangers.
Long Rangers will play
Spa,
Killarney. Good first tie, Long Rangers and Spa.
Next team out, my neighbours, Castle Island Desmonds.
Who played Long Rangers in the last game.
We played Drummond Pierces.
That's Castle Island Desmonds and Drummond Pierces.
Glenbeigh, Glencar.
Glenbeigh will play
Beaufort.
I think this is the first same divisional sides meeting in all our draws. So 2 teams left.
On Gaeltacht.
Should be 1 team left.
Gaeltacht will play Nagale.
Peter Twiss, you might run through those draws.
Okay, so a great mid-Kerry interest in this draw. Long Rangers versus Spa, Castle Island Desmonds versus Drummond Pierces, Glenbeigh, Glencar versus Beaufort, and Gaeltacht versus Nagale.
Tim Murphy, a lot of big teams in that one.
Huge big teams, actually. I mean, and if you look at every one of the teams have somebody currently inside with Kerry at the Kerry senior level, which is interesting. I think on Gaeltacht and Nagale for me is a huge game. Nagale obviously have 2 senior inter-county players, and Gaeltacht have Brian as well as an awful lot of other very talented players. I think the emergence of Lone Rangers and Castle Island Desmonds as well is noteworthy. For long periods of time. I think there are two sleeping giants, for want of a better word, and I think it's good to see towns of that scale and that size emerging. Again, Glenbeigh, Glencar have been there and done that in the past. Drummond Pierces are always a tough team to defeat, and again Spa and Killarney are, you know, they have a myriad of exceptionally good footballers. And again, you know, you look at Beaufort, like Peter said, Mid-Kerry is quite well represented in that. So again, I think the standard of the intermediate in Kerry is incredibly high, and would be an awful lot higher, I would suggest, than most senior county championships, I think, in other counties. So it really is a fantastic competition and huge games ahead.
And it's funny you say about maybe the towns starting to maybe come back again, you know, because look, and we might chat before we leave about rural depopulation, but a lot of populations are moving to towns, and I suppose good to see the likes of Long Rangers and Castleisland using the populations.
Absolutely, I think that's huge for Killorglin, a town the size of Killorglin within Mid-Kerry, and a town the size of Castleisland, who have a huge tradition of obviously All-Ireland club champions in the past. It's really good to see the emergence of those back again. And I know, having spoken to people in both clubs, they really got buy-in this year. I think the fact that there's no travel abroad, Eamon, has probably impacted on a lot of clubs as well. A lot of people have stayed around. A lot of talented players that would otherwise have gone perhaps to America or whatever for the summer. They're all around this year, and I think that's telling as well in all the competitions, I think.
Liam Brosnan, what stands out for you?
Yeah, I suppose, look, the Gaeltacht and the Gael is probably the one that really stands out. But you can go, when you look at it, actually the whole county is represented there. Like you have the towns, and you have Drummond in South Kerry, and you have the Gaeltacht back west, and you have the two Mid-Kerry teams, and you have Spa and Killarney. So there's a good spread there. Yeah, it's great. It's great to see Long Rangers coming back. I've been watching them with the last few years, keeping an eye on them. They have a lot of good young fellas. Yeah. You know, I see them through development squads with the last few years, and they're starting to peep their head now at senior level now again, which is great, because look, Killorglin town is like Castleisland. You know, they need to be up there. They need to be pushing on, because when we were growing up, they were always the big teams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, the Long Rangers, the Castleisland Desmonds, so it's great to see them coming in. Spa, Spa, look, you have the Liam Carneys and the Dara Minehans, and they have a lot of good young fellas coming through as well with Kerry Miners with the last couple of years involved with that have a handful of fellas involved with East Kerry as well. You know, so I'm always looking at Spa with the last 4 or 5 years that they're a team that should be winning a lot more than what they are, and I think, like Tim said, I think with everyone being around now, I think teams are getting a buy-in from players, and I think it's helping the likes of Spa. Glenbeigh Beaufort, Mid-Kerry Derby, that's going to be an interesting one. They both had great runs in All-Ireland campaigns between junior and the whole lot. So yeah, the Gaeltacht and the Gael, look, we're going to be looking at our county players there, and we're going to be seeing what way are they playing, and it's going to make an action-packed series of games, and like it's no different to the rest of them, the other divisions. They're going to be very hard call, all these games, Eamon. Very hard call.
And whoever comes out of this, you're looking at some big clubs, and if we're here this time next year doing the draw for the Garvey Super Value County Senior Football Championship final, or championship rather, any of these teams really wouldn't be out of place in the senior?
They wouldn't. No, definitely not. When you look at it, they're all big clubs. Down through the years, historically, all big clubs. And if you were sitting down probably at the start of this, the 8 of them would probably be very close. If you were filling in a blank piece of paper, you would nearly put the 8 of them in there, maybe with a couple of surprise packages, the likes of Rathmore didn't make it, maybe Glenflesk and these where young fellas coming through as well. But definitely, they're definitely going to make 4 very interesting quarterfinals.
Yes, indeed. And Peter Twist, again, in terms of the quarterfinals, dates and venues are quite fluid.
Well, they're quite fluid again, and as I say now, the next couple of weeks now will be the Senior Hurling Championship next weekend, and then the Senior Football Championship for the following 2 weekends. So it gives these teams a chance to pause and reflect on what they were doing as well, and then recharge and go for it again. So it's really exciting.
And Peter, in terms of fixtures for competitions, County League fixtures, are they still undecided?
So we said we'd review at midterm. So on the 31st of August, I think, if that's a Monday night, we're going to get together, and certainly from our feedback, there's a feeling that we should have some kind of a league.
Yeah.
Maybe split the leagues in 2, so you could have 6 teams, but there's a massive appetite for games, and certainly that's our job, is to provide games, provided it is in an orderly fashion, and that's what we've been very impressed up to now with the way everybody has gone about their business. So certainly that would lead us to go that way. Yeah.
Super. Look, finally, Tim Murphy, I'll come to you. We've done all the draws for the Kerry Petroleum Club Football Championships. Do you think that maybe some of these games could be streamed depending on fixtures later on in the year?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I think it would be incumbent on us, I think, based on the current restrictions, to stream as many of the games as we possibly can, and we certainly will be looking to doing that. 200 is a very, very low number attending games. So what we've done so far, streaming is working okay. We've got good feedback. We've learned things of what we should do and how we might make the experience better. And certainly we'll be looking at club and county championship, I think, in terms of streaming. Absolutely.
Super. And I know that you're after revealing the details. I think Joe had them on Sport this evening of the Garvey Super Value Senior Football Championship Round 1, the dates and the venues on that. And you can find those on Kerry J and on Radio Kerry as well. Lads, thanks very much for coming in with a lot of draws to get to. I know a lot of coordination by Peter Twiss and Tim Murphy and Lynn Brosnan. Thank you very much for doing the draws. Lads, that's fantastic.
Thanks, Eamon.
Lots more after this quick break.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry. Brought to you in association with the family-run Meadowlands Hotel Tralee. The perfect location to celebrate every occasion. Meadowlandshotel.com.
Would you like to reach your full potential in the Leaving Cert? Then contact the professionals in private education. Brookfield College. We've over 30 years experience and a proven track record, now enrolling students for 5th year, 6th year and repeat Leaving Cert courses. Our 6th year programme covers the whole course in 1 year, so make up for that lost time. Phone Brookfield College Tralee on 066 714 5896.
Some are tall, others are small. Some are older, some are bolder. No, never. There's nothing uniform about kids, except their uniform. Shop dunstores.com for our full back-to-school range ready to deliver safely to your door. Or collect for free at your nearest Dunn stores. For back to school, go to dunstores.com today. Terms and conditions apply.
What do you hear? What are the sounds that add richness, texture and meaning to your life? Your hearing anchors you to the world around you. Protect your hearing. Start with a complimentary hearing test with one of our expert audiologists. Visit hiddenhearing.ie.